Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Cowboys' Mike McCarthy replacement could quickly bring a Lombardi. The Dallas Cowboys are still licking their wounds from losing to the Detroit Lions at home on Sunday, October 13th, with a 47-9 final tally. With the Cowboys being 3-3 heading into Week 8, NFL analysts and experts, of course, are creating buzz about whether head coach Mike McCarthy's days with the team are numbered. McCarthy's contract is uncertain, so the Cowboys could decide to go a different direction and not re-sign him. At this point, Corey Woodruff of USA Today's For the Win says it's inevitable that one Super Bowl-winning coach will be packing his bags for Dallas. He also writes that this guy could quickly help the team bring home a Lombardi. New England Patriots coach Bill Belichick is often a favorite in conversations about who the Cowboys could bring on to replace McCarthy. Now, Woodruff says it feels inevitable that Belichick will head up the team next season. It's not necessarily that Belichick will be the best candidate, but he will be the one that helps Jones sleep easier at night, Woodruff noted in the October 22 piece. Don't underestimate an owner who is clearly tired of being the butt of the joke, going out and getting the 21st century's NFL model of consistency to save his franchise from tepid results. Heading into Week 8, the Cowboys are 29th in DVOA for their defense and 26th in offense, which is not great. Add to that the latest horrific loss against the Lions on home turf, and you have some very angry Cowboys fans. Woodruff goes on to say that a union between Belichick and the Cowboys just makes too much sense for both sides. Jones would get the coach he's dreamed of, the one who has already followed in the footsteps of Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson. Belichick would get a ready-made roster that he could bend to his will for those coveted all-time victories with full support from ownership the second he walks in the door, Woodruff added. Maybe it winds up with a Cowboys Super Bowl. Maybe it winds up a Texas-sized disaster. Either way, the big, neon arrows are pointing its direction. Woodruff goes on to assert that Belichick could even make a quick turnaround in Dallas and bring home a Lombardi. Not everyone thinks Belichick is Dallas' ticket to the big game. In an October 21 piece for the Cowboys Wire, writer K.D. Drummond picks a different number one, Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. Slowick is immensely intriguing for several reasons, Drummond noted. 1. The offense he was able to coordinate for rookie C.J. Stroud was amazing, and he's continued to add to it in year 2. Slowick is from the Shanahan coaching tree that has had ridiculous success at the NFL level, and maybe most importantly, he used to coach defense. That combination just feels like he'd make a tremendous hire. Sayer Bettinger of Sport DFW also named Slowick as a favorite in an October 17 feature about possible new head coaches for the Cowboys. The Texans have the number 1 red zone offense in the NFL this season, and given the player development we've seen in Houston, you can't help but want some of that in Dallas, Slowick noted. Jared Goff makes big admission about Cowboys game. The Detroit Lions wrecked the Dallas Cowboys 47-9 in a Week 6 matchup, and many felt the NFC North squad subtly rubbed things in. Jared Goff has admitted as much. Goff was a guest on SportsCenter Wednesday night with Scott Van Pelt. Van Pelt asked the Lions quarterback about the lopsided victory over Dallas. Specifically, Van Pelt asked if the Lions had done a little extra in the game to stick it to Dallas over what had transpired last year. Goff actually admitted that the Lions may have done a few things to make up for last year. You know, there was maybe a little bit extra just for fun, if the game turned into what it turned into. We've put Dan, skipper, outside before. That wasn't the first time he's done that. But, yeah, I think there was a little bit of us that we felt like the play last year to Decker, we were on the wrong side of that call, and wanted to maybe have some fun with it, Goff said. The Lions had attempted a 2-point conversion to take the lead on the Cowboys in that game, but the play was waved off by the officials, who said Detroit's Taylor Decker had failed to report in as an eligible receiver. the Lions sure had that in mind based on what they did on their first play of the game, plus what they did at the end of their Week 6 win this season. Goff has confirmed it. Saints extension could force a Ravens, Cowboys trade. The New Orleans Saints signed star running back Alvin Kamara to a 2-year extension on Tuesday, but this move could inadvertently signal a Kendre Miller trade. A third-round pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, New Orleans envisioned Miller pairing with Kamara to form a ferocious 1-2 punch similar to the Kamara-Ingram duo from the late 2010s. If all went well, Miller had the opportunity to become the full-time starter when age inevitably catches up to the 6-time Pro Bowler. This never materialized, as Miller's injury-riddled time in the NFL put him in head coach Dennis Allen's doghouse. The little airline that could, Lebanon's national carrier Braves' Israeli airstrikes injuries are inevitable in the physical game of football, but Allen clearly believed Miller could have played through some of these ailments. With Kamara officially locked into the starting job for at least the next 2 seasons, the team has no reason to hold on to their former third-round pick. Kendre Miller won't generate much of a return in a trade, but, at 2-5 and set to be well over the 2025 salary cap, the Saints could use all the draft picks they can get. Looking around the league, the Dallas Cowboys and Baltimore Ravens make the most sense as potential destinations. Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy's job depends upon the team going on a deep playoff run in 2024. Unfortunately for the former Super Bowl champion, Dallas enters Week 8 with a 3-3 record and sit behind the Washington Commanders and Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East standings. This team could use a blockbuster trade to install some life into the offense, but owner Jerry Jones made it clear that will not happen. However, while Jones says the team doesn't have the cap space for a big-name player, it shouldn't be too hard to accommodate a Kendre Miller trade. The Cowboys have arguably the NFL's worst running back room. Rico Dowdle is nothing more than a career journeyman, and the once great Ezekiel Elliott is actively losing the battle against Father Time. With Elliott outwardly frustrated about his reduced role, the Cowboys could cut him and move forward with a younger and less vocal player. Kendre Miller might not live up to his third-round draft capital, but the trade candidate could make a name for himself behind a solid offensive line. If he can stay healthy, he should beat out Dowdle for the starting job by the end of the season. Derrick Henry is the ultimate outlier, and the superhuman running back is in the midst of what could be his best year during his age 30 season. Through 7 games, the 2-time Pro Bowler leads the league in carries, 134, rushing yards, 873, touchdowns, 8, and yards per carry, 6.5. He'd easily win Offensive Player of the Year if the season ended today, and he's playing like the best running back in the world. Kendre Miller is not good enough to take his job, but the trade candidate could serve as a crucial plan B down the stretch. Baltimore's depth chart behind Henry is notably weak, as Justice Hill is the primary backup to the probable All-Pro. While Hill is a good special teamer who can play in a pinch, the Ravens need someone better. Kendre Miller has yet to prove himself on the NFL stage, but his collegiate profile could be enough to justify a trade. Miller has a similar hard-nosed style of running which should mesh well with quarterback Lamar Jackson's more elusive style of play. In a perfect world, the Ravens won't need Miller to see more than 5 touches a game. However, if something happens to Henry, Miller could keep the ship afloat for a few weeks. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Kendre Miller? Leave your opinion in the comments.